So when was this built?
The Peerless Hotel was built in 1900, and it was built by a prominent family known as the Ganniards. And the Ganniards, they owned the Opera House. They had the largest mansion in Ashland. It still is the largest mansion in Ashland. It was built in 1884, and it's still here, and their house is listed on the Register of Historic Places. They built it in 1900 with the intention of it being more of like a trade or mercantile type of building. It was built with just a single story, not two stories.
Oh.
The second story came in 1904 when a woman by the name of Lucinda Williams, she had bought it. And she wanted to create a second story and have it be worker accommodation housing because the railroads were just now coming in. So she installed the second floor and in 1904 opened it as the Peerless Rooms. It was just called the Peerless Rooms. It wasn't hotel, wasn't motel. And since 1904, it's been through a few different things, but it's Ashland's oldest operating hotel, and it's been operating as a hotel ever since.
Wow. How many rooms did it originally have as Peerless Rooms?
It originally had 13, which was quite large for 1904. And the second story had a communal shower and toilet. And the first floor had one communal shower and toilet, and that's how it was back then. When it got renovated in 1994, modern tastes require larger rooms, so it went through extensive restoration and rehabilitation, and the rooms were enlarged, so we basically took 3 rooms and combined it into one. So right now it's a 6-bedroom boutique historic hotel.
And they're almost like little condos or apartments.
Yeah, we have 2 suites. So we have 4 standard rooms, and then we have 2 suites. And the suites are actually, they are quite spacious. They're about 800 square feet, consist of multiple different rooms, and they always tend to be our most popular rooms, the suites, especially for young couples. The smaller rooms, actually probably about 50-60% of our bookings are people traveling through, they just need an accommodation really quick. Yeah.
The on the outside, there's the original signage on the brick. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I love that story. So that's advertising artwork. So it's the Coca-Cola mural, famous in the state of Oregon. It's in several books. We probably have thousands of photographs on record. Bikers, graduation students taking their photographs in front of that historic sign. What makes that sign so special is that it's original and it never became a ghost sign. So ghost signs, that's a term applied to historic advertising murals that were eventually covered up. Because Lucinda Williams and every building owner back then, they would reach out to Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Bull Durham and say, hey, I have this big, beautiful brick building. What can I charge you to advertise on my building? They would sign a contract, they would negotiate the price, and the Coca-Cola mural would go up. And she would probably get maybe, $3 a year for it. Well, when the contract ended, they would paint over it. So most of the murals in Oregon have been painted over, which is why, one, you either don't see it, or if you do, it's so faint because people tried removing that top layer of paint that they also removed a lot of the bottom, the original layer. And that's why they're called ghost signs, which is why you can barely see it. You can, but just barely. With this sign, it never got painted over, so you can boldly see it. And I think it's one of Oregon's best original example of advertising artwork from the early part of the 20th century.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That part is legit, but the detail that you have created here is building upon that DNA of history, right? But you didn't have to be that precise. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm an inveterate collector of fine antiques. I love the Victorian period, and I absolutely adore historic buildings. They have so much magic and mystery to me. When I bought this hotel 3 years ago, I walked in, I knew that it was probably one of the best original interiors that I've ever seen in the state of Oregon. Original woodwork, trim, molding, staircases, hardware, doorknobs, transom windows, like everything was original. But it was
The numbers on the room.
the numbers on the doors, the room numbers, the historic room numbers that were on the doors were all original. I knew that I needed to own it and be a caretaker and a steward of this property because nobody else could do it as good as me. Not to be a megalomaniac, but I knew it. I knew I could take care of this building and make it much more of an authentic Victorian experience than anybody could. And I did, because we talked earlier about what Chrissy did to the interior. She did a good job, but it wasn't great. I feel like what we've created, you walk in, you are experiencing 1886. Like, it feels like you are walking into a genuine Victorian experience.
And you had mentioned that almost every piece or decorative pieces are antiques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything in the hotel.
You could have done reproductions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a few reproductions where, like this dining room table, and the reason why is because people are going to eat on it, they're going to play games on it, their kids are going to color on it. So there's a couple, mainly the serving room. There's a couple of reproductions because it's high use. But in every room, all the furniture, all the stools, all the chairs, all the pillows, all the decorative objects, everything is genuinely antique.
And your guests may know that and value it, but if they don't, you do.
Yes. And it's funny you say that, because they do. They don't know what they're looking at, but they know that it's special. And you see it, because when we're here, we're staying with our guests, and we see them when they first walk in, and they're immediately mesmerized and transfixed on, they don't understand it, they don't know what it's called, but oh my God, this place is so special. And we see it on their faces, and they just don't have the vocabulary. They don't know what they're looking at. Yeah. And we talked about this earlier. Most of our guests tend to be between like 28 and 38 years of age, and they're attracted to this type of hotel because it's edgy, it's dark, it's evocative, it's romantic, it's steampunky. And then when these young people walk in, they're like, whoa, and you can see what's going on in their head. What's going on in their head is they're saying, I want this. Yeah. I don't know how to make this, but this is so cool.
This is legit.
Yeah.
So 6 rooms, all decorated differently. What's the strategy there? What's the thought there that each room has sort of a different vibe?
A bit of an accident, because we inherited Chrissy's rooms and the template in which she built. So I can't answer to her. For us, we just want, I'm even like this with my own home. My own personal home is actually bigger than the hotel, and I have 6 rooms, and each room is themed differently. It could be the Grecian Revival room. I have a Victorian room. I have an English arts and crafts room, and I really like creating experiences. And I do that in my personal life and in business as well. So we've honed in on particular themes for every room. And we definitely changed out, because when we bought it from Chrissy, you really couldn't tell what the theme of the room was, because there was so much different stuff thrown in. But I was like, you know what? Let's focus on Louis XVI style in this room, and anything that's not Louis XVI, let's pull it out. Okay, in this room, let's go dark, slightly indigenous with an Asian touch, but let's pull out everything that doesn't have that. So we've really refined the themes, and we want to give our guests an option to choose from. Like, I don't do Asian, but I kind of like Grecian, but I prefer more English oak. Okay, I want to go with that room. So every room fits different personalities.
You talk about the fact that you came down here to stay, and what your reaction was when you stayed here the first time.
I love telling that story. So me and my love Deanne, we're a pretty fresh young couple. We were only together for a year or two, and I loved Ashland. It's a great romantic place to come, great for couples. And we came here, and I wanted to stay. We stayed maybe at the Winchester and another historic inn. I prefer to stay at historic inns, but I wanted to extend my stay, and they didn't have any rooms available. And I knew about the Peerless Hotel because I've walked by it, I've admired the mural, I've taken pictures of it, and I told Deanna, I said, let's stay in the Peerless Hotel. That building looks cool. Historic brick building, excellent mural. She said, okay. So we book a room here, and we get the suite number 7, which is my personal favorite room. And we walk in, and right when I walk in, I knew exactly what I was looking at. Historic double sash windows, transom windows, the Lincrusta ceiling, and the host who was pretty much the property manager at the time, he was giggling and chuckling because he could tell that I knew what I was looking at and what I was loving. And I loved everything about the hotel. And I was running around all the rooms and admiring every little aspect and every little component. He's like, well, since you're so excited, let me show you this and let me show you that. And of course, I'm like a little kid in a baseball card shop freaking out. And me and Deanne, we go into our room, we shut the door, and immediately, without skipping a beat, I went, I am going to own this hotel. I don't know how, when, where, why, through what means, I'm gonna own this hotel. A year later, we try to book a room at the Peerless. The homepage says, Peerless is for sale. And Deanne says, babe, you're not gonna believe this. The Peerless is for sale. Boom. I was in Ashland already strategizing the acquisition of the Peerless Hotel. And now I got it.
And you haven't looked back.
No way. I love this place.
Any plans for the future for the place? I mean, it's an old building, so I mean, it requires upkeep and
yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we've done everything we can to it. Now, I'm pretty good at merchandising because this isn't my full-time job. My full-time job is a retail company, and I understand how retail merchandising works. And you need to constantly upgrade, enhance, diversify, move things around. So that's where we're at right now with the hotel. Like this serving room, we pretty much installed this serving room last year. This did not look like this last year. Next year, we're probably gonna do something different and enhance in the room. Just last month, we brought in some new, fresh Louis XVI style French antiques to help revitalize the interior of room number 2. So we're always doing that, just enhancing and upgrading and refreshing that experience.
Okay, last question. It's got to be it must give you a sense of pride to have seen this when you first came and stayed and said, this is gonna be mine one day.
Oh,
and then looking at it today.
Oh yeah, every time I've had it for 3 years. I come here every month, and even on this most recent trip, I mean, I've been here probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 dozen times as an owner, and every time I think to myself, wow, I can't believe I own the Peerless Hotel. Every time, without skipping a beat, because we always come down 4th. I always see the mural. I see the original brick side. I'm like, I even tell Deanne, I can't believe I own this. This is so cool. This is so amazing. I love this building.
This is the last question. No TVs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know.
What? There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, there is a reason. Most importantly, it's a historic hotel. And the walls aren't paper thin. They're actually it is pretty silent, but all the rooms are, it is built on a Victorian design, so it's all communal space. So if I have too many TVs on a single floor, oh yeah, it's gonna get loud. But most importantly, we wanted to pull people out of the 21st century. Read a book, make out, go for a walk. Whatever you do, don't watch TV. And you'll notice that the rooms in the common areas, we extricate technology, and we have to have some modern conveniences like an ice machine and a water cooler and stuff like that. But I don't want tech and gadgets and TV and distraction and noise here.
That was it. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to talk about Amelia?
What's that?
Want to talk about Amelia?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to scare people. But
oh, it's your call. We don't have to talk.
No. But it's not uncommon in historic buildings to have stories about it being haunted or a ghost, and this is no exception. Who's Amelia?
Amelia is one of the purported ghosts that have been residing in the halls of the hotel since probably 1910. She's famous. You can Google Amelia, Peerless Hotel. There have been blogs. This Oregon Life has had stories about her. There have been articles about her. Ashland, the restaurants and the bars have cocktails named after her. The local residents all know about her. We have a lot of locals who stay here to have a staycation at the Peerless Hotel. Amelia's famous. And probably, if I were to take a stab at it, I'd say probably 20 or 30% of people who stay here are staying here because they want to have an Amelia experience. We have ghost hunters who come here, and probably more than half of those people report some kind of experience. It's always benign. It's always childish, it's always playful, and Amelia's supposedly anywhere between 6 and 9. And the fascinating story was that Amelia only makes her presence known when people are arguing or fighting. So Chrissy, when she renovated this building in 1991, between 91 and 94, she gutted everything. She gutted the walls, she gutted the ceiling, and gutted the floors. And when she told me about the floors, I said, "Did you find anything cool, underneath the floorboards?" And she said, "No, the only thing I found was a perfect depression in the dirt and a pile of marbles there." And she went on to tell me about the Amelia story. And I said, "Tell it to me, because this is when I'm buying the hotel. I want to know about Amelia." And she said, "Well, when I was renovating, I was having a heated argument with my contractor, and we were in a room across the hall, and we heard a thud and then a roll of a marble. And we went to the room thinking kids were in here, because kids used to break in here and play all the time, and we didn't see any kid, but we saw the marble." Flash forward, several months later, we were in a different room on the opposite side of the hall, having another heated debate, and the molding on the floor was removed, so you could see into the other room. We were having a heated debate, and we heard small child's footsteps running across the room, and you could see the shadow of somebody in that room. We both booked it into the room, thinking that there were children that were, trespassing. There was nothing there. And then she said, and then once I opened, the floorboards and saw the depression in the marbles, I decided to hire a clairvoyant. Clairvoyant comes out. She's lived in Ashland for 93 years. She already knows that there is a childlike presence by the name of Amelia who's here. But she regaled me in the stories of who this little girl is and how long she's been here and why she was here. And she's been here since 1910 or 1915. And she's perfectly at peace and at ease, but she just gets really uncomfortable when people argue. Well, luckily, the Peerless is a boutique hotel destination. So people come here because they love each other. There's no fighting going on. Right. And the same thing applies to me and Deanne, but we did have one fight, and we did have an experience, because I am personally a skeptic. But I had an experience which occurred in number 6, and what had happened was, we got in a really bad fight. Not yelling bad names, but for us heated, because we typically don't argue. And every room is outfitted on the pillows with a coupon for a local, romantic lingerie store and some chocolates. Every room's outfitted. When we came here to stay, we had the whole hotel to ourselves, so nobody was staying in. And I went into room number 6. I go into all the rooms and just make sure everything's there. 3 or 4 hours after our heated debate, I go back into number 6. The chocolates are thrown on the floor, and the coupon is thrown on the floor as well, all in different directions, scattered all over the place. And I thought to myself, weird. Why would Deanne's not a throw stuff type of person. I get Deanne. I said, "Deanne, did you do this?" And she went, "No." "Did you?" And I went, "No." Remember, we're the only ones in the hotel. The door was shut. And immediately I went, well, I felt something. I was like, okay, all right, this skeptic now feels something. But so all the experiences that people hear typically are like sound, or things being misplaced or things being moved around, but nothing hostile. And other than that, I haven't had any experiences.
But Amelia's famous in the community.
Oh, yeah, hugely famous. And the photograph of her, supposedly her, and her marbles are in the front display case in the front room. Okay. We have so many people coming here to meet Amelia. We even see people post on Instagram. They'll literally transform our rooms. They'll like bring in shawls and lights, and they'll redecorate the room respectfully with the intention of like trying to have an Amelia experience.
Well, they need to get angry.
There you go. Actually, they kind of do. That's probably the whole. That's probably the whole point. And it doesn't have to be anger between the two people that are looking for her. Just any kind of anger, hostility in the hotel itself. So if the guests in number 6 are doing just fine, but the people in number 1 aren't, she'll pop up somewhere, supposedly.
Okay, good. All right, that was a good practice. Do you want to record one now, Eric?
Man, that has happened to me a couple of times. Like I've done, because I have my own marketing department, photography, but we do videos. We produce 2 videos a week. And sometimes I'll do a video and I always improvise. It just comes out. And it was a video on like sustainability and our mission.
3, 2. If you like your vacation lodging with all the modern conveniences plus a lot of history, you are in luck. Coming up in tonight's Destination Oregon, we're going back in time to a historic hotel in Ashland.
No problem. That was a good one.
Ready? 3, 2. If you like your vacation lodging with all the modern conveniences plus a lot of history, you are in luck. Coming up in Destination Oregon, we're going back in time to a historic hotel in Ashland.
Nice.
3, 2. Wait, did I say that this building's DNA? 3, 2. This building's DNA is 100% history, but there are modern conveniences like contactless check-in. I don't trust anything that comes out of your mouth. 3, 2. 3, 2. This building's DNA is 100% history, but there are modern conveniences like contactless check-in. Okay, come get this shot.
Okay, got.
Like contactless check-in.
Got.
Like contactless check-in.